Okay, so we've got our initial skinning in. I want to go ahead and jump to some more advanced skinning techniques, and that's using geometry for skin. And so all I need to do, I'm going to go back to my regular selection tool for a moment. Make sure all my joints are set back to 0. Okay. I can kind of get a look at my wing real quick and see how it's working. Okay, so there's some bad skinning. I definitely want to smooth this out better than this, and I expect that of you guys, actually. You won't be recording tutorials while you're doing your skinning. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the transparency of this mesh so we can get a better idea what's going on. So we can see it better. Okay. Now, I'm going to set this back to 0. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to select that piece of that little ribbon that we created to point between the shoulder and the wrist of the arm. And then we're going to shift select the bird mesh. Then we go to skin, edit smooth skin, add influence. Go to the option box. And this time this use geometry is going to matter. Okay, you have to have this selected. The drop off and all of that, not really going to matter so much. Polygon smoothness, NURBS sampling. We're not using NURBS, so I don't know if that one's going to matter really at all. But the polygon smoothness, we probably want to turn this up a notch. And to be honest, it's been a long time since I've used this attribute, so I'm trying to remember exactly what's a good number for it. But I'll just set it for 2 for now, to 2 for now. Anyway, and so I had the ribbon selected, then I shift selected and add the mesh. I'm going to click add. Okay. Now, I've got a piece of geometry that can control my mesh. But I need to select the skin cluster 2 node, which I should actually rename as the, real quick, I should have done this a while ago, but I'll call this the swan underscore skin cluster, not to be confused with the wing skin front left skin cluster. And I need to check an attribute on this. So if I press Control A, and I need to go to that skin cluster node. So this is a swan skin cluster. And I need to click this Use Components. Okay. Which actually reminds me, sometimes if your weighting information is not taking, a lot of times it's because of this maintain max influences is checked. We are never really concerned about the number of influences per vertice when we're rigging for feature or for film. Okay, so this, you probably never want to have this checked. It's only useful in games where you're trying to limit the number of joints that can control a single vertex. That was a side note. Okay, now I need to go to my Paint Skin Weights tool. But before I do that, I'm going to actually fold up the wing a little bit. If I can select my control, I'm going to fold up this wing. Sorry, I'm trying to clear my throat. And then I'll go to my skin, paint skin cluster. Go to my toolbox. And now I should have a new piece of geometry listed in here. Collar wrists. Okay. So let's see if I can't get it to show this way. Okay, so I'm having trouble seeing geometry listed in here. Okay, so let me pause the video. I try to find it real quick. I think this is probably associated with that base joint problem. Okay, so what I found is it actually added the influence in reverse. This skin mesh, the bird skin mesh, is influencing this little strip of geometry. We need that to be backwards. So maybe I selected the wrong order. We'll experiment real quick. So let me undo. If I can undo enough steps. Okay. Okay, there we go. So I've undone, and I lost my naming. So let me rename this again. And I called it swan underscore. So what happens when you're typing and you think you're renaming. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to shift select this. I'm going to go to skin, add influence, and use these settings. Click add. I think it did it again. Okay, so let's try selecting that in reverse. That's opposite of what it should be. Okay, so we'll select this swan mesh first, and then we'll shift select and grab that ribbon, and we'll go to skin, add influence, and I'm just keeping the same options. Okay, now if I select the mesh, press Y to go back into my paint skin weights tool, and let's see. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So this step can actually go really quick. So I'm going to fold this arm in just a tad, or fold the wing in. Go back to the skin weights tool. I'm going to unlock this. I'm going to unlock all of the arm joints that have weighting information, except for the wrist. Actually, so I guess just the elbow and the shoulder and joints. Okay. And with this with this geometry selected as an influence object, I'm going to add weighting information to it. Okay, so I'm going to shrink this down because I really just want to grab this front edge here. I need to switch to add. That would be helpful. And I'm going to turn my value down to 50% and my opacity down to 50% because these need to be more subtle